Dear learners, welcome back to LMTI interview preparation series. So in this series, we are going to discuss about the frequently asked Java programs in an interview. And the first program which we are going to discuss today is called as an sum of array. If you are not aware what is meant by array, so array is used to store a multiple values of similar data type, and we used to notate the array with the help of the open and close square bracket. Like we can create an integer array or we can create a string array. So let me just create one integer array and I'm providing the variable name as a, and we will be storing multiple values inside the curly braces. So let's say I can store a multiple values like 10, 20, 30 and 40, etc. And in similar way, I can create a string array as well, and I can give some variable name, and inside which I can store a multiple values. Let it be of an learn and comma. I'm storing the another value called as an more. So if it is of an integer array, so we can store only the integer value, and if it is of a string array, we can store only the string value. So now we are going to discuss about the program called as an sum of array. So which is nothing but we are going to pick an integer array and we are going to add all the values which is present inside the array. So we are going to do an additional operation. So which is nothing but we are going to add all the values like 10 plus 20 plus 30 plus 40. And how we are going to do the addition in the sense, it is pretty simple. So before implementing the logic, you need to know one point, inside the array all the values are stored in the index order. So what is meant by index order in the sense, in a programming language, so the index start from the 0 and we can say 0 comma 1 comma 2 comma 3. So when I say index is 0, so the value 10 is stored. When I say the index is 1, so the 20 is stored. In similar way, if I say the index is 2 or 3, so the value called as an 30 and 40 will be get stored. And we can retrieve the value from the array with the help of the index. So when I say a of 0, it will return the value called as an 10. If I say b of 1, so it will return the value called as an more. So because more is present in the first index, G, whereas learn is present in the zeroth index. So based upon the index, we can easily retrieve the value. And one more thing we should have in a mind in the sense, so before doing the sum of the array, we need to know the length of the array. So what is mean by length in the sense, so we call it as an size. So size is nothing but the number of values which is present inside the array. You could see here we have stored 4 value, so the length of a array is kind of an 4. So whereas length of b array is kind of an 2. So we should calculate the length. And why we are calculating the length in the sense, because only with the help of the length we are going to set the condition, and with the help of the condition we are going to retrieve the values from the array. So which is nothing but we are going to do some repetitive action. Whenever the repetitive action comes into the picture, we are going to use the concept called as a loop. So here we are going to discuss about the for loop, and the syntax of for loop is we should use the for keyword, so followed by, so we need to initialize something, and post that we need to set a condition, and post that we will be adding the increment operator, and then we will be creating the block for the for loop, and whatever the necessary statement we need, we will be amending the necessary statement inside the loop. And how the loops work in the sense, so pretty much based upon the condition. So whenever the provided condition is true, the particular loop will execute, and we are going to implement the concept of for loop, and with the help of the for loop, so we are going to retrieve each and every value, and we are going to sum up the value. Now let's see how we can implement the same in the program. So let me open my IntelliJ. So in which I already created the package called as an Java interview program, under which I'm adding the new class called as an sum of array. and post that like after creating the class, inside the class I'm adding the main method. And how we can add the main method in the sense with the help of the keyword called as an PSVM, and I'm clicking on enter button, so the main method is created. So now I'm creating the integer array and I'm storing the multiple values like 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40 as per Java rule. At the end of each and every line, so we need to add the semicolon. So now we have created the array. Now with the help of the loop, we are going to retrieve each and every value and pose that like we are going to sum up the values. So what is the syntax of the loop? We should use the for keyword. I'm initializing something, let it be like int I is equal to 0, and pose that like we need to set the condition. So why we are setting up the condition in the sense, so based upon the condition, so the loop will execute. So here we need to execute the loop for 4 times, so that like during each and every run, so we can retrieve the specific value from the respective inputs. So I'm just setting up the condition, so stating that I less than a dot length. So generally how we will be calculating the length of the array in the sense with the help of the length method, and pose that like I'm adding the increment operator. So whenever we are using the increment operator, so during each and every run, it will increase the value of I by +1. Now inside this loop, like we are going to derive the logic to sum up the array. And in order to sum up the array, like we are going to use some special arithmetic operator, so which we call it as an plus equal to. So whenever we use this arithmetic operator, so what it means in the sense, if I say like a plus is equal to b, so which directly indicates like you are going to do the operation called as an a plus b, and you are going to store the output in the variable called as an a. So whenever we are doing the additional operation, so the corresponding output will be stored in the a variable. And now, so whenever we rerun this operation, so which indicates you are going to like add the new value with the b, and then like you are going to store in the variable called as an a. So maybe like it will be a bit confusing for you, so I will try to implement the same in the coding, like you will be having the better understanding. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a dummy variable. So let it be int sum is equal to 0. So initially I'm assigning the value 0 to the variable called as an sum, and pose that I'm just calling the sum, and I'm using the arithmetic operator called as an plus equal to, and then I'm mentioning the array, so a of here, inside which I'm passing the ints, and at the end as per Java rule I'm adding the semicolon. So technically what it means in the sense, like we are going to like add the sum plus a of I, and whatever the output we are going to retrieve, like we are going to store in the variable called as an sum. So here inside this a of I, we are going to pass the index value. So based upon the loop, so it will inject the respective I value. So whenever I say a of 0, like it will retrieve the 10. If I say a of 1, it will retrieve the 20, and we are going to retrieve the specific value, and we are going to sum up with it, and we are going to store the corresponding output in the variable called as an sum. So now let me add a debug points. So whenever we add a debug points, so we will get to know the better usage, or you can easily understand the logic. So how we can add the debug points or breakpoints in the sense, like you can keep the you can just do the click operation in the line number 11, and in the line number 13 I'm just doing the click operation. So whenever we do the click operation, the red dot will be added up, so which we call it as a breakpoint or debug point. So after adding the breakpoint or debug point, I'm right clicking and I'm running in the debugger mode. So now what happened, so like wherever the breakpoint is present, so the execution will be passed and the execution will be under our control. So initially right here the value of I is kind of an 0. Okay, so now here the value of I will be 0, and we are calculating a dot length. So a dot length, in the sense we will be getting the length as 4, and it is going to check the condition. It states 0 less than 4. So obviously, right, the condition is true. So whenever the condition is true, it will step into the for loop. Here if I resume the program, so what happened? So the value of sum is 0. So initially, like, the value of sum is 0 and the value of I is 0. So now if I say a of I, in the place of I, so the value 0 will be passed. Whenever I say a of 0, so technically means it is going to retrieve the value called as 10. So then as per this rule, so what happened? So the value of sum is going to be 0, and then a of 0 is going to be 10, and it will do the addition operation, and it will store the new value in the variable called as an sum. Now the loop will execute. So whenever the loop execute, you could see, like, initially the value of sum is 0, but you could see now the value of sum got changed to 10. And again the increment operator will increase the value of I. Now the value of I will be changed from 0 to 1, and it will check the condition. So whenever the condition is true, it will step into the loop. So now the value of sum is 10 and the value of I is 1, and it will do the operation called as an 10 plus a of 1. So what is a of 1? We call it as an 20. So now 10 plus 20 will be 30. So the 30 will be stored in the variable called as an sum. Now you could see, like, the now you could see, so the value 30 is stored in the variable called as an sum. So likewise, so the loop will keep on executing, so till the condition fails. So now again, right, so what happened? Like, the value of I will be changed to 2, because like the increment operator will increase the value of I by plus 1. So now again it will do, so 30 plus, in the second index, like, what is present 30, so 30 plus 30 will be 60, and here the new value 60 will be stored in the variable called as an sum. And again the loop will execute, and during this time the increment operator will increase the value of I by plus 1. Now the value of I will be 3. So now it will check the condition 3 less than 4. Again the condition is true, and the value of I is 3, and what is the value which is present in the third index? It's 40. So 60 plus 40, it is going to be 100. And now the loop will terminate, because now the increment operator will increase the value of I. So the value of I will be changed to 4, and we know the length is 4. It will check the condition 4 less than 4. So obviously, right, technically, so what happened? So the condition is false. So whenever the condition is false, the loop will terminate. If I just run the program, so the loop will terminate, and it will print the output as an 100. So as I haven't not added the sysout statement, so you may not be able to see the output in the console. So for example, if I add the sysout statement and if I print the output, and if instead of the debugger mode, if I run in a normal mode, so now we could be able to see the output called as an 100. And how we are summing up the array, in the sense, with the help of the loops, and we are using this arithmetic operator, and with the help of this operator, so we are easily summing up the values which is present inside the array. So whenever the interview panel asks the logic to write the sum of the array, so you can use the same approach and you can explain in this way, so the panel will be get impressed. See you all in the next discussion, and keep learning.